Rolling.
Rolling. Hey guys, it's Daniel Dekay. I'm here in the Banger Bar for a change. Thought we'd throw it back to where it all began. And I'm here doing the Patreon AMA. We've looked through your questions and Lisa's picked the best ones. I don't even know what y'all are gonna ask me, so let's do this.
Surprise! So we've got questions about heavy metal,
Shocker.
playing guitar,
Another one.
working at Banger,
Whoa, crazy.
and pizza.
Those are all things I love and do, so let's get to it.
All right, let's do it. Question one. Oh, I didn't plan this very well. Let's move these to where I can see them and film at the same time. So professional in here. All right, Milos Koki. Imagine you can travel to one particular year of metal history. What year would you pick?
Okay. Well, as a thrash head, I've always longed to go back to the roots of thrash. I would go early 80s. I would kick it in, I want to be a teenager in 1982 and kind of watch the formation of all my favorite big four of thrash bands and see how that all came to be. I really just want to see Metallica in a club, let's be real. I think that's the dream.
You've been saying that ever since we left you standing outside the Opera House.
Yeah, I know. I watched it was awesome. We took a big group photo, all the Banger people outside this Metallica secret club show, and we took the group photo, and then they all went in except for me. It really still stings.
We're trying to make it up to you. Speaking of thrash, Matthew Hernandez, thanks Matthew, says, besides thrash, what other subgenres of metal are you into?
Oh, well, I'm like a pretty easygoing person. I pretty much like everything, but my favorites, aside from obviously thrash, gotta be like classic old school death metal, like really into the Florida sound. I'm into melodic death metal. Anything that's like really, really heavy and screamy and brutal is rad, but the extra melody in there as a guitar player and a fan of things that sound nice. I love the melodic approach, and I like everything as nasty as grindcore, really. So I'm pretty a mixed bag with music. You should see when I put my playlist on shuffle and I'm not just listening to an album through and through. It's like all over the place. I can clear a room or have a room singing every word depending on which song you stumble on my playlist.
Mika Grossman wants to know, what was your first metal show?
My first metal show. Well, I was going to club shows a lot, local bands and small bands as a really, really young, all ages. Started when I was like 14, 15. I don't recall what would have been my very first there, but I know that my first big metal festival was in my first year of high school. I took a road trip to Montreal and did the first ever edition of Heavy MTL. Iron Maiden headline. It was my first time seeing Overkill live. It was my first time seeing Type O live. It was like an incredible experience. Motley Crue played, but no one cares about that. Yeah, that was like my first open air heavy metal experience, and I gotta be like 15 at the time max. It was pretty cool.
If this was Pee-wee's Playhouse, I would say you just said the secret word of the day, overkill!
Overkill! Yes, and we don't mean reviews.
Speaking of Iron Maiden, Mike Burgess, I'm sorry Mike, I keep reading it as Mike Burgers. Mike Burgess, eternal question, Priest or Maiden?
Oh, that's not fair. That is the eternal question. Man, that's really not fair. Obviously love both bands dearly. Priest edges Maiden slightly for me on that one. I'm going with the heavy metal gods.
Liam Beaton, longtime supporter, has a bunch of good questions, but I picked this one.
Okay.
Create your own supergroup. Who would play bass, guitars, drums, and vocals in what subgenre?
How long do we have?
You have 10 seconds.
All right, so we're definitely doing Gene Hoglan on drums. We're going to put Marty Friedman and Alex Skolnick on dual guitar attack. We're going to have Overkill. We're going to have Bobby Blitz as the lead singer. And who are we going for bass? Could go like Frankie Bello or Steve DiGiorgio. Maybe I'd let Frankie and Steve in a room and kind of fight it out. But I would definitely put a super group together, something like that. And it would obviously be in the vein of traditional thrash and classic new wave of British heavy metal. Duh.
Well done. That was about 20 seconds.
I know, and I could probably give you 100 answers for that. So if y'all think that my super group is whack, that's because I just came up with it in 10 seconds.
All right, this should be easier. Jacob Albrecht. Here's some bands. Do you like Firehouse, Candlemass, Demolition Hammer, Man o' War, and Budgie?
I don't see a relation between any of those bands whatsoever, so I applaud you for picking some really random bands, but I can safely say I do thoroughly enjoy every band on that list, even Firehouse.
All right, a couple of questions now, moving on to guitar specifically.
Cool.
Edward Murphy, your favorite guitar solo of all time?
That one's tough. There's obviously tons of wicked solos. The obvious answers, I think, for any guitar fan is My Life Changed when I heard Marty Friedman play Tornado of Souls. My life changed when I heard Dimebag Darrell do that walk solo. Like shit like that. Anything outside of the box. My overlooking one that is stupid legendary. No, man, I think that's cool. Oh yeah, Dime, Floods. What am I saying? Floods, Dimebag, Pantera. End of discussion.
Brian Anner, or Anner, when was the first time you ever saw a guitar? Can you remember?
Well, music's always been such a fixture in my life. I had musicians in my family, and as I said, I was going to club gigs since I was a kid. But I mean, my first ever would have been a classical guitar at my uncle's house when I was like, could barely see over the counter. I was kind of lucky to be surrounded by musicians my whole life. So very young age, I knew what a guitar was, and by the age of 9, I had already had my own guitar. So, I mean, couldn't play it, and still can't really play it, but trying.
Follow-up from Peter J. Brown, another longtime supporter. Thank you, Peter. What are the challenges of stepping into a legendary band like Exciter, and are you coming to Chicago?
The main challenge has been keeping it together during rehearsals and like just catching myself smiling uncontrollably, and I'm like nerding out a lot. It's been really, it was crazy to try and go from being a fan to being in a band. It was a really weird transition at first. Now it feels a lot more natural, but the first rehearsals were like in between every song, I was just asking them questions like about their career and stuff. They're like, all right, like, dude, you're in the band, like you can stop, you can stop being such a fanboy now. Like you're cool, you're one of us. So yeah, it was like getting used to being in a legendary act. Took a hot minute. And are we gonna come to Chicago? I always say, if you book them, they will come. So get in touch with the proper channels, and maybe we'll see you there.
Cool. Well, what viewers cannot see is what I see, which is that you have been rifling through Sam Dunn's vinyl collection, which lives in the corner of the Banger Bar, and just picked out some stuff for, I don't know, inspiration. And we do happen to have a question, another one from Liam, about your favorite metal album cover art.
Well, it just so happens that while I was snagging these records, I found a couple of some of my favorite artwork here. I mean, I think everyone knows that the Arise cover, Eternal Nightmare, it's like super campy and awesome. What's up, Phil? And Leprosy, and obviously Left Hand Path. These are the ones that were in this room that I would say are some of my favorites. It's cool that they're here, but legendary artwork for me that is omitted here is Rust in Peace, Megadeth. I think it's no secret to you guys, I love thrash and fanboy for life, and that Rust in Peace artwork is like Rust in Peace and Painkiller. I like really colorful, like big cartoon, like, got the silly tattoos of cartoon looking characters. I'm into that stuff. So yeah, these guys are rad, and Rust in Peace and Painkiller.
All right, just a couple more questions for you, DK, about working here as part of BangerTV.
That's what they call it, work? Okay.
Edward Murphy wants to know, which other cast member do you have the most fun with on set?
Well, there's really no one is fun here whatsoever. I would say it's a really serious place to work, and no one smiles ever. But when someone does smile, it's obviously Blaine Smith. He's friggin' hilarious. And clearly I'm kidding. Everyone's a nut job here just like me, and we're all heavy metal freaks, and we love working here, and we have a ton of fun. But I mean, Blaine makes me laugh on set more than anyone else. We've tried to do a few videos together, and I mean, it's great that we can hang out and have a great relationship on camera like that, but you got to see the outtakes, man. He makes me laugh way too much. I know that Lisa cringes when I come up with an idea for me and Blaine in a video, because she knows it'll take 12 takes more than anyone else's video.
Yeah, but always good. Liam Beaton, Liam, I picked a lot of your questions.
Dude, this is the Liam Beaton show.
They're good questions. Most awkward interview?
Oh, that's easy. You've never seen it because it was that awkward. Maybe.
It's true. I was not there.
Yeah, Lisa was not there, which is the other reason why it was so awkward, because she usually keeps things in check for me. Yeah, if you didn't know, Lisa's at all my interviews and does an incredible job as the producer, but she left me alone with Dixie Dave from Weed Eater, who insisted that we do an interview after their show, and it was a club show, so they didn't get off stage till like 1 a.m, and then by the time they changed and cooled off and had a couple beverages, I think we got to the interview by 2 and we wrapped around 3. It was a very long and weird conversation. Let's leave it at that. But that was by far the most awkward interview I've ever done. Nothing against Dave, super friendly, rad dude, but we touched on some dark topics, and I think that's why maybe you've never seen the interview.
Connected, maybe? Alejandro Torres, worst hangover after a massive party with a musician?
Worse than the one I'm feeling right now after hanging out with Kiss last night. I would say definitely after that Weed Eater interview. Dixie Dave, rolled into the interview with like a Texas Mickey of Jim Beam, and he'd been drinking it on stage to about the halfway point, and I would say that in that hour-long interview that him and I crushed the other half, and yeah, maybe that's why it was so awkward, actually, come to think of it, but that was a brutal hangover. I remember that one all too well.
Follow-up from Jamie Laszlo. Good to see you, Jamie. When you wake up hungover, but you have to get back into the swing of things, do you go right for a beer or start off with a mixed drink?
I think that when I was, a little braver, I vividly remember Saturday night gigs, getting up at 10 a.m., super hungover, and going out for breakfast and ordering a plate of food, water, coffee, and beer. That was always my go-to, water, coffee, beer. And I'd slam the water, slam the coffee, black always, and then slam a pint of beer. But my tastes have changed, and I've matured and grown, and now it's always a Caesar or a Bloody Mary for my American friends in the morning. That is my morning beverage of choice for the hair of the dog.
Finally, this very important, complicated question from Mike Weinman. What is your pizza of choice?
That is a very, very easy question, and it's a two-part answer because pizza's life, obviously. In the city of Toronto, I get a extra large margarita pizza from Fresca on College. You add the jalapenos onto it. They make them in-house. They marinate them. They're delicious. Extra sauce, well done. That is the best pie in the city, hands down. If you're ever here, hit me up. We'll have one together. But in general, if I'm ordering from anywhere else, the ultimate pizza, pepperoni, onion, hot peppers, and pineapple.
What?
Yeah. Tickles all the spots in your taste buds. I love a good sweet, salty, spicy. It's got everything you need.
All right. Well, I am also team pineapple, so let the internet comment fights continue. Thanks for doing this.
Hey, my pleasure. Thanks for asking me such awesome questions, and good to be in touch with you, Patreon guys. Can't wait to talk more. We got cool stuff in store for you.